That is. Sorry, guys. I got a daughter on her way over, trying to make sure nothing blows up like the dog.
We are live, Brian, just so you know.
We are dog lovers, Brian, so we understand that. Well, it's 6 o'clock, folks. This is Joe Plankett. Let's call to order the Westfield Redevelopment Commission meeting of April 20th. John, you want to take a roll call, please?
Yes. Joe Plankett.
Here.
Joe Ingles.
There's no Joe Ingles on board.
Oh, sorry. Doug.
Doug Holmes.
Here. Jill Doyle.
Here.
Rob Crispin.
Here.
And Melissa Risk. Melissa Risk.
I'm here.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think I was muted.
Joe.
Okay, first item on the agenda, we have a quorum, is for approval of the minutes of our last Redevelopment Commission meeting. Are there any changes or modifications? We've already made some with the attendees and the various votes, so I think those copies, originals, were modified by John, and unfortunately here we're looking at one that was before modification. Doug Holtz is added, and Joe Ingles is removed from the list of attendees, and I did not vote on adjournment since I was not there at the meeting, so I think John on his copies, if I'm not mistaken, John, you've made all the corrections.
That's correct. I got the wrong one up.
Yep, that's all right. We understand that, and so let's just look for a motion on approval of the minutes as they were corrected.
Doug Holtz here. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Melissa Risk here. I'll make a motion to second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments regards to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as presented and corrected, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the approval of claims. Are there any questions for John or anyone in regards to the claims? Okay, hearing none, look for a motion to approve claims.
Doug Holtz here. I'd make a motion to approve the claims.
We have a second?
Jill Doyle. I'll second.
Okay, motion by Doug Holt, seconded by Jill Doyle to approve claims as presented. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 5-0 vote for approval of claims. Claims have been approved. Let's go on to the Redevelopment Commission business items. And John, I'm going to turn it over to you or Brian, whoever wants to jump in on here and explain exactly what we've got.
Okay, I'll give you the quick one. Has Catherine entered the meeting?
I have.
Oh, okay. Well,
Good evening,
Catherine's
Thank you. Good evening.
Catherine's the bond attorney on this, and so I'll just give it a real quick over, and then she can get into more detail. And has Randy fixed his microphone issues?
I am on via the telephone. I'm not going to see you in person, but hopefully you can hear me.
We can.
Yeah, loud and clear, Brian. Randy, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Randy has a proposal for a development that's going to be part of the Grand Park District, and we are creating a sub-allocation district for that. And this is the document that will start that process. This is just a preliminary resolution, or no, I'm sorry, is this first document the proposed contract?
Yes.
The development agreement? Okay. You are being asked to approve Resolution 02-2020 that would be to authorize entering into this economic development agreement that would allow for the redevelopment funds to help prepare the site for Randy's development. And Catherine, did you want to get into more detail on that?
I can provide some, and then Randy could talk about the project description. But basically, the economic development agreement is very similar to other agreements that the city of Westfield has entered into on previous projects, but would allow the infrastructure improvements to be made. Specifically, I believe there's some demolition of existing buildings on that site. And I believe, as Randy would say, you're basically prepping the site for a mixed-use development in the future. But this kind of just outlines the project and the parameters, and that the obligations that would be issued to help fund this would be payable from tax increment in a special allocation area, which is the next resolution. And there would be some road impact fees, but that is not part of this economic development agreement. That will be entered into under a separate agreement within the city. But Randy, is there anything else that you would like to add to the project description?
No, I would be more than happy to do whatever you all would like. I mean, I had prepared just kind of an overview of how we got to today, if that was of any value to this. If not, I'm more than happy to listen and answer questions as requested.
And same here, if anyone has any questions for me.
This is Joe Plankus. Randy, I think it would be good if you could give a summary. We have two new commission members that were not on last year when this was approved, going through the other parts of the process for the rezoning. So if you could just give us a very brief summary of what's going to take place here, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, so this is kind of the end of a long run of work. The project's the northeast corner of State Road 32 in Spring Mill. The site was originally owned and built by Fabcon. That was a business that produced tilt wall panels for large building construction, basically a very large industrial kind of site. Shelby Materials, owned by the Hale family, purchased that location based on its open industrial zoning and the fact that it was already a concrete company, looking at the idea of retrofitting that for their needs to create ready-mix concrete. When we approached the city to start the process of building the new plant in conjunction with kind of a retrofit of the existing plant, kind of came to the conclusion after some long conversations that this isn't exactly where we may have been zoned properly. It wasn't exactly where the city would prefer to have a business of this type. Shelby Materials and the Hale family have always been very good corporate citizens everywhere they have locations, which is 11 locations around central Indiana. So I spoke with the family and said, hey, look, if we could, it would be better that we go find some other land. I know you bought it based on the zoning, but let's go find some other land, and then we'll work with the city to redevelop this site in the future. So we went through a process. I mean, my primary goal representing them and helping the family was to keep that business and those jobs in our jurisdiction. So I kind of did a lot of work and eventually got Country Mark convinced to sell us some land at the north end of their property on Mule Barn Road. We then went through the whole development process on that and have since built a new plant out there on Mule Barn Road, just north of Country Mark, where we purchased the land from them. After we completed that process, we went back in and did a PUD rezone on this area for a multi-use, basically 3 different sections. Front area closest to 32 is general business. center area is a combination of general business and general office. And then the north end of this site is zoned for enclosed industrial. And so a true multi-use, but much more in line with the comprehensive plan and the desires, especially being the western entrance to Grand Park, not wanting to drive by a big industrial blighted looking type product. So at this point, we are now fully operational out on Mule Barn Road, have added some additional new jobs because of that site. We've been marketing this new site, but where we're at right now is no one really wants to move forward with any purchases until we can get some demolition done and then move forward with the secondary part, the next part after that, which would be to build Tournament Trail as required by the city's ordinance on the State Road 32 overlay. We're requesting the sub-district for this project area in anticipation of the next step, which is the economic development agreement. Jim Treat and Catherine have been wonderful to work with to help go through my numbers and all the projections that I've put together. We've come to agreement on what's logical, but this is basically the next step in the process.
Okay, that's great overview, Randy. Appreciate that effort, and certainly from an economic development standpoint, appreciating all the efforts you put into getting this site to where it's going to be right across the street from Meyer, which will be another nice development they're starting to break ground on. So thank you for that overview. I'll turn it back to Catherine and Brian.
Just a couple things that maybe I forgot to mention originally, and the project itself is estimated as far as to be funded from tax increment generated by the future development. Project maximum is around $1.5 million.
Okay, good point. Thank you. Are there any other questions, or this is Joe Plankus, any other questions or comments from anyone regarding any answers that we might need from Randy? Okay, Catherine, is there anything else you need to cover in regards to the resolution itself?
I don't think so, unless you have any questions.
Okay, no, I've reviewed it, and I know we made a couple minor changes to it, minor corrections, so I think we're good to go. If no one has any other questions, we will look for a motion for approval of Resolution 02-2020.
This is Doug Holtz. I hereby make a motion to approve Resolution 20-2020, I believe it is.
It's 02-2020.
02-2020, excuse me.
Yeah, John got that. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
This is Rob Chrisman, and I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's take a roll on this one. Roll call, Brian or John, and let's get each vote individually.
Okay. Joe Plankus,
Aye.
Doug Ingles,
I think you mean
Doug
Doug Holtz.
sorry.
Yeah. Doug Holtz says aye.
Jill Doyle,
Aye.
Melissa Risk,
Aye.
Rob Chrisman.
Aye.
Okay, we have a motion approved, 5-0. Let's move on to Resolution 03-2020, John.
Okay.
And Catherine or Brian, if you'd like to cover this, would appreciate it.
I can do that. This is an amending declaratory resolution to basically create a sub-allocation TIF area within the Grand Junction Economic Development Area. And basically what we are doing is removing some parcels in what was called, or what still is called, the expansion area, number 1 TIF area, and we're moving those parcels into a new allocation area called the Spring Mill Center allocation area. And this allocation area is meant to generate the tax increment revenue, which will go towards the project that Randy described.
Okay. Do we have any questions from any of the commission members in regard to this resolution?
So you have on your screen right now is the Grand Junction. All this is the Grand Junction TIF. And this red area is the area that's being removed and suballocated.
Basically the southwest corner. Okay, good highlights. Hearing no other questions. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, excuse me. This is Rebecca Ogle. I was just gonna ask, because I'm not able to see it on the document, is when it gets suballocated, is the time frame extended, or what is the through date of the allocation, please?
So it becomes a new allocation area that has a life of 25 years, which begins on the date that an obligation is incurred. And so when we go to issue a TIF obligation for this project, payable from the tax increment revenue generated in this allocation area, it will be 25 years from that date.
Thank you.
And we all hope Randy gets it developed in maybe 5 years or less, rather than 25 years, because once the bonds would be paid off for this sub-allocation area, the funds would then go right back into the Grand Junction area.
And I think we are showing a much sooner payoff, so to speak. I believe our estimates that Jim Treat prepared were 10 years or less. Randy, does that sound familiar?
Yeah, as you all know, this is we're kind of left with the buildings that we, had originally intended to use, but now can't use. So our goal is to demolish those buildings and get this developed just as soon as possible. Because this is a developer-backed bond, we are the ones that carry all risk and the shortfall on this. So it's in our best interest to move strongly and make great deals and make ourselves real open to business so that we can get this concluded as fast as possible. The only reason that I would see any delays of us not meeting that kind of thing is kind of something that we all just learned about in the last couple of months, which is the unforeseen that we can never anticipate. Probably not one of the best economic conditions that we could launch in, but we believe strongly in being prepared for the day that this is kind of clear and being shovel ready to go.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. If there are no further questions, we're open for a motion for approving Resolution 03-2020.
This is Jill Doyle. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 03-2020.
Okay, Joe Plankus, do we have a second?
This
Doug
is Melissa.
Doug Holtz, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jill Doyle, second by Doug Holtz for approval of Resolution 03-2020. John, would you take a roll call, please?
Joe Plankus,
Yes?
Doug Holtz,
Yes.
Jill Doyle,
Yes.
Melissa Risk,
Yes.
Rob Chrisman.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 5-0. Good luck, Randy, with the project. We're certainly all in favor of it and support it wholeheartedly. And we have a few more steps to go through before we get to the final paperwork signing, but stick with it, and we'll certainly give our support to making that happen. Is there any other additional business, John or Brian, before the commission?
This is Zager. No, I don't think so.
I'm not aware of any,
Okay.
Joe.
Okay, with that being said, if we'll just assume that we're going to have an adjournment here. Do I have a motion to that effect?
This is Rob Chrisman. I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Do I have a second?
This is Melissa
Mr.
Risco.
Blankus, okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Catherine and Brian and John, for a lot of work that went into this, and look forward to the next meeting to move the process further along. I know this will go to the Plan Commission this evening for their review also. And I encourage everybody, if you want to, listen in on the Plan Commission meeting that starts at 7. With that, we are adjourned officially. Thank you very much for everybody's help, and Chris, thank you for helping us with the technical needs that we had to make this happen. Good job.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Signing off.